Hello friends, welcome to On This Channel. We regularly share the latest news and spoilers from American TV shows. So let's get into today's important update. Johnny Carson's final interview with Bette Davis contains stunning information. She revealed unexpected information. Just Hollywood's finest actress revealed her year-old secret to Johnny weeks before her death, leaving 18 million viewers dumbfounded. July 2nd, 1989. The Tonight Show prepared for a historic interview. However, no one knew at the time. Despite her frailty from illness, Bette Davis, 81, decided to participate on the show one last time before her death 3 months later. Davis was a frequent guest on The Tonight Show, making her visits memorable. She was known for her biting wit, reluctance to accept, and merciless honesty in recounting Hollywood's golden period. Johnny Carson adored interviewing her because she was never predictable. She spoke her mind regardless of the repercussions. However, the appearance would differ. NBC employees were aware of Bette's terrible illness, but her exact status was not disclosed. The producers informed Johnny that Bette may be making her final broadcast appearance. He prepared accordingly to honor her and appreciate her independence. Upon Bette Davis's arrival on The Tonight Show stage in July, the studio audience recognized her special presence. Davis walked slowly with a cane, but her presence was noticeable. She wore a beautiful outfit and bold makeup, maintaining her iconic style despite illness. Before she reached the guest chair, the audience gave her a standing ovation. It wasn't the typical passionate Tonight Show ovation. This was more profound and reverent. People stood to commemorate an icon who had provided decades of outstanding performances. Johnny stood gently, taking her hand and guiding her into the chair. While looking at each other, spectators could detect true fondness and respect between them. Johnny said, "Bette Davis," with a more emotional tone than normal. "Thank you for coming, John. Where else am I?" Bette responded with her usual directness, albeit with a softer voice. This is where the most engaging talks occur. For the first 20 minutes, the interview followed a pattern similar to earlier conversations. Johnny asked me about her early Hollywood days, and she recounted working with renowned directors and co-stars. Vintage Bette Davis was humorous, irreverent, and even obscene. She famously stated, "I didn't become an actress to be liked after a disagreement with studio executives over a role. I became an actor to be remembered." Though the audience laughed and cheered, the moment was bittersweet. The audience may have seen Bette Davis for the last time. Every story, joke, and gesture was significant. Johnny's sensitivity as an interviewer allowed Bette to manage the conversation speed and tone. The speaker asked questions without being pushy when she paused. He chuckled at her jokes without treating her as delicate. He provided the respect and space she needed to be herself. About halfway through the interview, something changed. Johnny asked Bette about her most notable part in All About Eve, anticipating another interesting Hollywood story. Bette became quiet and stared at him with passion, causing the studio audience to lean forward. "Can I tell you something I've never said publicly before, Johnny?" Johnny nodded, yet his face revealed surprise. "Of course, Bette. Share whatever you wish." Bette stated, "I'm dying with characteristic bluntness. While some have speculated, I'll be direct. I have cancer and physicians estimate a few months left. I chose to speak on your show because I trust you to allow me to express myself without being censored." The audience gasped in the studio. Johnny's professional poise deteriorated, revealing emotional struggles. "Bette, he began, but she raised her hand. "Let me finish," she whispered. "I came here to share a secret I've been harboring for 50 years. Not just reminisce about old movies." What Bette Davis disclosed in the next 15 minutes became a famous moment in television history. She confided in Johnny and shared her biggest sorrow with America. "Everyone thinks my greatest role was Margot Channing in All About Eve. Bette said that performance is still discussed by critics. It earned me an Oscar nomination. Still today, people quote my lines from the movie." She paused to gather her thoughts. "But I want you to know the truth. Johnny, I did not want the legendary career-defining role. Initially, I declined their offer." Johnny seems really astonished. "You disregarded All About Eve." 3 times, Betty affirmed. I believed Margot was too close to my true self. I feared being seen as a fading actress worried about aging and being replaced by younger talent. Felt quite vulnerable and exposed. Sadly, she smiled. Throughout my career, I portrayed powerful women who don't let anything beat them. However, Margot was unique. Scared Margot. Margot felt insecure. Margot embodied everything I avoided throughout my life. So why did you finally accept the role? Johnny inquired gently. She responded, because someone I love told me vulnerability wasn't weakness. Her voice broke slightly. They believed that revealing one's worries and vulnerabilities was the most courageous move for an actress. She hesitated, clearly emotional. The person was my daughter, Barbara. Despite being only 4 years old, she recognized my needs. Mommy, you're always strong in your movies, she remarked. Perhaps you might be more genuine this time. Bet wiped her eyes, disregarding her makeup smearing. Is it true that babies speak? My 4-year-old daughter offered me the best acting advice of my career. Johnny was now openly crying, not hiding his grief. Why did you think of this tonight? Bet maintained a firm voice amid tears as Barbara had died of cancer 20 years prior. She was only 35 years old. I never told her, Johnny, I never acknowledged her contribution in making my career-defining job feasible. I never told her how much that moment meant to me. The studio crowd was silent, but millions of people throughout America cried with Johnny and B. Explained that she is sharing this information to convey a crucial message. As we spend our life being strong, tough, and courageous, these qualities are important. Being honest with ourselves and loved ones is more important. She stared at the camera. Let someone know who helped you become who you are. Do not delay. They may not know. Tell them now, as I regret every day for 20 years for not doing so. Johnny extended and took Bet's hand. Thank you, Bet, for sharing this. Many thanks for your honesty. I'm 81 and dying. Johnny B replied with a trace of her former passion. What is the harm in being honest now? The next event was spontaneous and stunning. Johnny addressed the audience, stating, we should take action. Betty Davis's performance tonight reminded us of the importance of life, surpassing her decades of memorable performances. He rose up and applauded, and the entire studio audience followed. However, this was not clapping for an entertainment. Applause greeted a person who recounted her deepest regret and most valuable lesson. Bet, seated in the guest chair, accepted love and respect from hundreds in the studio and millions at home. Tears running down her face. For the first time in her famous career, she was not acting. She was just being Betty Davis, authentic, vulnerable, and at peace. At the end of the interview, Johnny did something unusual. He emerged from his workstation and joined Betty on the couch. Betty, he informed you that Barbara was aware. Perhaps unconsciously, she realized you played that character and provided a lifelong performance. She witnessed her mother being bold and vulnerable. That was both your and her gift. Betty nodded, speechless. Johnny added, you've given the same gift to everyone watching. You demonstrate that it's never too late to be honest, share regrets, and let others know they matter. When Betty left the stage, Johnny walked with her to the wings, clutching her arm for support. She turned to him at the last second before disappearing. She thanked Johnny for allowing her to be authentic. He expressed gratitude to Betty for demonstrating the process. The response to Betty Davis's final Tonight Show appearance was unparalleled. The NBC switchboard was overloaded with calls. Thousands of letters were sent, many containing personal stories of remorse and reconciliation. The interview was lauded by mental health professionals for its openness on regret, grief, and the value of expressing love early on. Grief counselors now use interview footage to help individuals cope with missed opportunities and unspoken words. The interview was archived by the American Film Institute as a significant piece of cinema history, not focused on Betty's profession, but on the human experience. Betty Davis passed suddenly on October 6, 1989, 3 months after her Tonight Show performance. Johnny Carson discussed their final interview during her burial ceremony. Johnny praised Betty for her numerous interviews over the years in his eulogy. However, the last one was unique. She was teaching, not performing. She reminded us that honesty and vulnerability are not flaws. They are our greatest strengths. He hesitated, his voice expressing emotion. Tell those we love how much they matter, as she advised. Betty, you mattered. Work was important. Your honesty was valued. The 4-year-old girl who gave you the courage to be yourself knew you loved her. You can trust me. Film students today tend to watch B. Davis's final Tonight Show interview alongside her best film performances. The film is important not only for its portrayal of Davis, but also for its exploration of the connection between art, life, performance, truth, strength, and vulnerability. The interview has been cited in numerous publications about living with regret, expressing love early, and being honest when there is nothing to lose and everything to gain. Johnny Carson later deemed it a crucial interview in his career. Betty gave me plenty that night, he thought. Her story about All About Eve was unique and never before shared. Moreover, she allowed myself and the audience to be vulnerable, express apologies, and share the truth in the remaining time. In her career, Betty Davis portrayed powerful women who refused to display weakness. On her last TV appearance, she gave her best performance by doing the opposite. Through vulnerability, remorse, and humanity, she demonstrated that true power is not based on fear or avoiding mistakes. Strength comes from owning concerns and failures, learning from them, and sharing lessons to benefit others. She showed us that it's never too late to express love, tell the truth, and acknowledge those who have touched our lives, even if they're no longer here, like her daughter Barbara did. Join our newsletter for more genuine tales about entertainment luminaries' bravery and honesty. Share this video with someone who made a difference in your life and let them know they mattered. Keep in mind Betty Davis's final message. Tell people they matter now. Do it now while you can.